Okay, so we're up to the last topic. Okay, so we're up to the last topic for this area of study. Prior to the case study, of course. So obviously the case, I told you guys, there's part A, which is all the concepts, and part B, case study. Okay, two parts to this area of study, two parts to every area of study. There's the course study, the coursework, and the case study. Coursework, case study. Okay, part A, coursework, part B, case study. Part A, regular questions, part B, 10-mark question. Part A, coursework, part B, case study. This is the last topic for the coursework. Part A, coursework, last topic, okay? This dot point is actually wrong. It's not this misconceptions. No, we're talking about reconciliation. Reconciliation. Just check the study design. It's from the 1990s to present. Reconciliation is literally fixing a relationship that has been damaged over time. Trying to fix it is reconciliation. There's two ways that you can try to fix a relationship. You can do it through symbolism, symbolic reconciliation, saying sorry, using gestures, trying to make the person, trying to make the people rather, trying to fix the relationship through just gestures, not giving them or not really doing anything physical. Practical is all about physical gap or physical reconciliation. It's all about living standards, okay? What does it mean to apologize? Apologize is to say I made a mistake and I'm sorry for the mistake. What are the benefits of apologizing? The person feels better, but they don't actually gain anything. Hence, symbolic reconciliation. What could be achieved by apologizing to Australian Indigenous people? This is the history. This is what's happened to them. Their kids were stolen. Their land was dispossessed. The protection and segregation policy, the assimilation policy, the diseases that wiped out thousands of people. All of these, the missing link, all of these things. What could be achieved by apologizing? It just recognizes, finally, the government is saying, we've done something wrong. Up to this stage, the government never accepted they made a mistake. Who is this person? That is Kevin Rudd, the Prime Minister. What does the Prime Minister of Australia represent? He represents the state of Australia. He's the leader of Australia. So he represents the voice of Australia. What would be significant about him saying, I'm sorry, the apology coming from the leader, is because it's on behalf of all of Australia. Now you read the actual apology and identify three items, that's the three quotes that you'll be able to use from the Prime Minister that Australia and the Prime Minister is apologizing for. So the apology is here, February 14, 2008. Any quote you could use would be, for example, we apologize for the laws, this one here, we apologize for the laws and the policies of parliaments, successive parliaments and governments, just that one there. You could use others as well. We apologize for the pain and suffering and hurt of the stolen generations, okay? Any of those. So what are three specific things? You should have three quotes from those examples, but the full thing can be found on the Google Drive folder. There's a video clip as well. You know, there's a video clip of the Prime Minister, of Kevin Rudd apologizing as well. So you can find that on YouTube. I think it might be in the Google Drive folder. Okay, symbolic reconciliation is therefore gestures taken to provide healing for emotional wounds and recognizing past injustices. So it's about saying sorry, we accept that we were wrong, we accept that we made a mistake. That's as part of reconciliation, trying to bring Indigenous and non-Indigenous people together, okay, through an apology. In which ways is the apology an example? Well, nothing is physically gained, it's just sorry, so it's symbolic. There's a steps table which is about the representation itself, raising awareness, shaping perception. Should be able to do that now. There's another video on representations as well, maybe check that one out, okay? Just quickly looking at this life expectancy table, you'll see that Indigenous Australian people, which is the dark blue color, and non-Indigenous, light blue, there's a big gap. The average lifespan of non-Indigenous people is 10 years or up to 15 years longer on average than Indigenous people. That's a big gap. This is from the 2013 ABS statistics, okay? So if you're looking for the source, you can say the 2013 ABS statistics. So there's a case study that you should read for this. This case study is called Closing the Gap. We just saw an example of a gap. There's multiple gaps. That's just one of different types of gaps. Here's an example, a section from that case study that I gave you. There's 6 gaps, okay? There's 6 different gaps. There's life expectancy, childhood mortality, that means dying as children, little babies, childhood education, which Indigenous Australian kids have a big gap in, reading, writing, and numeracy, big gap, finishing year 12 is another big gap, employment as well, there's a lot of unemployment with Indigenous Australians, okay, these are all gaps. These are targets by the government called Close the Gap policy, okay, the Close the Gap policy to try to close these gaps. This is, I think, a 2018 article. You'll find it on Google Drive, but you'll see that there's significant, there's a lot of things like life expectancy. The gap is still huge. It's off track. Child mortality, gap is still huge. Unemployment, gap is still huge. Reading and numeracy, gap is still huge. School attendance, gap is still huge. Okay. In which ways is closing the gap policy an example of practical reconciliation? It's purely practical. There's no sorry. There's no gesture. They're actually trying to give money and doing stuff to try to close the life expectancy and the schooling gap between Indigenous and non-Indigenous people. So you've got to do the same thing again, the steps, representation itself, raising awareness, shapes perception. So practical reconciliation is therefore providing services to address the differences in living standards between Indigenous and non-Indigenous Australians, okay? It's providing services, taking action, okay, to close the gap, to restore the relationship. And that's it. So now you got to do the quiz and do that in your own time.